This right here is Honor's latest flagship phone, the Magic 4 Pro. I've been waiting for this for the past 2 months ever since they first reached out back in April, I think. They asked if I'm interested to check it out and yeah, I said yes. Well, it's finally here, so let's take a look. I haven't seen any of the videos that other creators have made, so this will be my true first impressions, so you and I will be looking at it for the first time. The box first of all seemed a little strange to me. I mean, the logo on the front is cool, but the backside is upside down and there are no seals on the side. Is that normal? Let's take a look if the phone is alright. Well, I kind of forgot that this is not a retail unit. This is one of those early testing units. That's why they have mentioned not for sale. So they've sent me the cyan color. That's cool. I mean, it looks pretty nice. There are 4 other color variants as well. I would have liked to see the orange one actually, but this is good too. The phone feels rather easy to hold in the hand. It doesn't feel heavy or unwieldy. The weight has been balanced pretty well. And the display has pretty intense 3D curves on both the sides. Now, I have been using curved screen phones for a long time, so it's nothing new to me. But yeah, it can look pretty striking if you're looking at it for the first time. Alright, let's power it on and see if there is any juice in there. Of course, there is no headphone jack on the bottom. Unfortunately, this is the time I guess I moved to a phone without a headphone jack. It's only a matter of time that I had to embrace that anyways. So on the bottom, there is just a USB-C port and a SIM card tray. There is a speaker, of course. On the left side, there is pretty much nothing. It's completely empty. On the top, there is interestingly an IR blaster. You don't see those anymore. And a second speaker, so it has a bottom and a top firing speaker for a stereo effect. The volume and power button are both in relatively the same place on the right side. I'm not used to this volume and power being on the same side, so it'll be an adjustment for me. Alright, let's see what else is in this thick box. Oh, there is a charger included as well. 100 watts. Wow, that's not something you see in modern day smartphones anymore, right? Chargers are not eco-friendly apparently. And they have used some last minute packaging before sending it over to me. It's not a factory package, you can see that. And there's also a USB Type-C cable and nothing much else. There's a clear case included as well. It's a pretty decent quality case. I like using it. It gives you some additional grip on the smooth back of this phone. I noticed that there is a screen protector installed on the glass. I usually remove these screen protectors, but this thing has been installed pretty well, so I think I'm gonna leave it on. There is that pill-shaped camera cutout on the front. It houses some sensors as well alongside the front-facing camera. It has a 3D face unlock feature that uses infrared sensor in there. It's ridiculously fast. We'll talk more about that in a second. If this was a retail unit, you will probably get some, warranty guides and stuff, but since I didn't buy this, I guess that's not included. Is there any price on the box? Nope. I'll leave any pricing and availability info in the description once I get it. They are planning a global launch, so this may be available in India as well. So I'll leave all the information in the description. You can check it out. Now let's take a look at this 100-watt charger. Let's peel off this cover. Oh wow, that was an epic fail. I mean, Honor and their previous parent company Huawei have some pretty good track record of making crazy good chargers, so I'm expecting good things from this. Let's see how fast it charges up. Meanwhile, we'll set up this device. While using the display, I noticed that it does have high refresh rate, and yep, it is a 120Hz refresh rate display, coming in at a resolution of approximately like 1440p. It is a much narrower screen, so it's not exactly 1440p, but you get the point, it is QHD. It has HDR10 support as well, so we'll take a look at some HDR videos in a second, and of course, it's AMOLED, just like every other flagship phone. I would say it's on par with my Galaxy Note devices, so yeah, it's a pretty high quality screen. This phone is a dual SIM variant. It takes 2 SIM cards. There is no expandable SD card option, but it has an eSIM option too, so you can register that if you want. It also has an under-screen fingerprint sensor. It's an ultrasonic one, so it'll work even when your fingers are wet or dry. And yeah, it works ridiculously well, like you almost don't even see the animation before it unlocks. Although I have to get used to this camera bump. I've never used a phone with such a thick camera on the back. So yeah, that's an adjustment for me. We'll take a look at the camera performance in a second. They're calling this design the Eye of Muse. Apparently it's a source of inspiration. Okay, big words. Let's see if it lives up to the hype. It's running on Magic UI 6 that runs on top of Android 12. I'm expecting Android 13 upgrade to this since it is a flagship phone. It runs on Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chipset, 8GB of RAM, and this one has 256GB of storage. The refresh rate is adaptive by default, so it can vary between like 1Hz all the way to 120Hz. That's pretty dope. If you want, you can fix it to just 120, 90 or 60 depending on what you need. Even the resolution on the screen is pretty dynamic, like it changes automatically and I've left it as it is. I haven't noticed anything bad with it, it automatically changes the resolution to save battery. Now since we are talking about Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, let's address one thing first. Does it thermal throttle? So I did a test just this morning. I used the same CPU throttling test that I've seen B-Bomb use. So going in for about 5 minutes, no major dips. It did dip down almost till 80%, but it's not too bad. The phone's not getting too hot either, just a little minor warmth on the right side there. Okay, 8 minutes in and we are not seeing any major red lines, just a few yellow dips here and there. Approaching 9 minutes, still going pretty strong. Oh, there we go. Now it's starting to throttle. At around 10-minute mark, it has started to show red lines, so it has started to thermal throttle well below 70, maybe even 60-65%. Again, it's not terrible, it's not as bad as some of the other phones with Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 that we have seen, so Honor has definitely done a better job at managing heat with this thing. It's not incredibly hot on the surface, but yeah, the CPU is definitely thermal throttling. So what I did was I kept the phone just like that on the side to cool off for the next 15 minutes, closed off all the background apps and did a second test. Before the test, the phone was at 30 degrees Celsius, which is, it's okay, it's about the room temperature where I'm in, so naturally I'm in a pretty hot place. Let's run the test once again. Okay, 2 minutes in, going strong, almost 6 minutes in, and we saw a minor dip there below 80%, probably nearly 78, and it's kind of dipping down further. Let's see if it improves. It's not getting any uncomfortably hot as usual, it's getting a little bit warm. So we are closing in on the 10-minute mark now and things are looking pretty good compared to last time. There was one dip but no major red lines yet. God damn it. I was interrupted by a call, so I had to stop the test. But yeah, the performance was on par this time around. It went for about 11 minutes before I was interrupted, and the lowest was like at 62% of its max performance. So it's definitely not a worst case scenario for thermal throttling, so safe to say that the 8 Gen 1 is a reliable performer here. And speaking of reliability, let's talk about those biometrics. You see that face unlock has an infrared LED as I mentioned, so it is actually a 3D face unlock, so it can detect the depth in your face and can really map out properly. And it's ridiculously fast, as you can see, it's crazy fast. It does have an eye contact mode, meaning that if your eyes are closed, it's not gonna work. But if one eye is open, it works. I don't know how that is. I mean, if you close one eye and open one, it does unlock. How is that information useful? I don't know. I just did it. And so is the fingerprint sensor. It's super accurate. Even though your fingers are like wet or dirty, it works. I've had a pretty good experience overall in the past 2 days with this phone. But there are a few downsides that I will mention. But overall though, yes, there is no denying that this is a premium flagship in every way. There are not a lot of gimmicks other than the one gimmick you see already, the 100x zoom. I don't think you need me to tell you that it's a gimmick, but we'll compare images side by side. In fact, let's talk about this crazy camera system on the back. It's not 5 cameras as you might see, it's 3 cameras. There is a 50 megapixel main sensor on the left side here. The middle one is a 64 megapixel telephoto sensor that can do up to 3.5x optical zoom and up to 10x hybrid zoom. It's crazy good. The one here all the way on the top right side is a 50 megapixel ultra wide sensor, one of my favorites. I love the action camera like feel it gives you. The bottom one here is a time of flight sensor. You might see that infrared sensor there. It helps it analyze depth and capture focus a little bit better. And this one is just a flicker sensor. I'm not sure what it does. Maybe it helps with some nighttime shots, I guess. But these 3 systems, 50, 64, 50, these are the main 3 cameras. In fact, Honor calls it a triple camera system. I mean, you can clearly see the difference between these 3 cameras. That is the 50MP ultra wide, my favorite, and then there is the standard wide shot, that's the 3.5x telephoto zoom, and that's the 10x hybrid zoom. Look how much detail is there in that shot. And then there is the crazy 100x zoom, which it's a gimmick. Doesn't matter which phone you have, whether it's this phone or something else, 100x is a stupid gimmick. I'm sorry, Honor, that's the truth. The only reason why they even went as far as 100x is to write the 100x title on the camera, I guess. I mean, why else would you use it? I even tried zooming in on some details and no, I couldn't read any text or anything from 100x distance. So yeah, it's not really practical. I'm really happy with the 10x. I love using that. Now answer one question. Do you think that if there is a hardware present on the phone, any hardware, should I be able to use it at any time? I should be able to, right? According to Honor, you can't use the ultrawide or the telephoto in the videos. Yeah, you can only use the main camera. You can't use the ultrawide or telephoto whatsoever. The video can do 10x zoom, but it's digital zoom. I mean, you can see it here. Like if I take an image in the photo preview, you can clearly see how much better that 10x looks. But if I switch over to video and zoom in 10x, it's clearly digital zoom. It's not hybrid, it's not optical. So yeah, it's using this main 50MP sensor. It's a really good sensor. I love the quality, But why can't I use the ultra wide? I mean, imagine how cool the video would look on an ultra wide sensor. Man, I would have loved to use that zoom and the ultra wide on my videos because I'm a video person. I don't take a lot of pictures every day, but I do record a lot of videos every day. Honor, please, can you release a software update or something that allows at least the ultra wide, if not the telephoto, at least the ultra wide in videos? I'm sure you can do it. Ah man, it's so close to being like a perfect camera system in this budget. Like it has everything you need. 3 high quality sensors. There is no compromise. But the software doesn't allow you to use it in video. Well, that's the downside. But let's talk about the upside in the video. Honor claims that this is one of the industry's first phone that has 4K 60 FPS with log format. Log is basically like a flat format video that doesn't capture too much contrast or saturation, and it focuses on one thing only, that's dynamic range. So if you capture with log, you get extended dynamic range which you can then add color to. In fact, most of the Hollywood movies you have seen are all recorded in this log format. They just add the colors later on in post-processing. That's why it looks so clean, and like the dynamic range with the sky and everything looks really good. I'm really glad that they have given 10-bit log at 4K 60, that's really dope. But I don't understand why, if I disable the log, I can't use 4K 60. I can't use 4K 60 FPS if I want to use HDR video. It can shoot HDR, but only at 24 or 30 FPS. I shoot at 4K 60, but I can't shoot in HDR. So if you go to this movie mode, which is like the pro mode, if you want to use 4K 60, you have to enable this log format. You can't record in HDR at 60 FPS. Why, Honor? And this thing can't do 8K or anything, and that's fine. I think phones with 8K is just a stupid gimmick. I'm glad Honor didn't go with that gimmicky route. 4K is good enough. But yeah, I really wish that the ultra wide or the telephoto was available. That's one. Secondly, I wish 4K 60 was available in all modes. Now let's talk about the front camera. It has that portrait mode in the front camera as well, and it works really well even in low light conditions like this selfie. So this phone did a really good job at detecting my, the body edges and blurring out the background. Even with hair like mine, it did a pretty good job. And the standard camera's video is actually pretty good. The stabilization is excellent. In fact, it's one of the best I've used. Like look at this. I'm moving my hand so much, but the image looks like it is stuck on the screen. It's not an image, I promise. See? It's a real live preview, but when you move the camera, the stabilization compensates for almost every movement. There's even an option called Super Night, which pretty much increases the shutter time, meaning that it reduces the shutter speed. And yeah, it definitely does work. Like in this shot, the box where the kittens are, it's actually pretty dark, but you can clearly see the details, like you can see the kitten's eyes and everything, even though the kitten is black. The telephoto and main sensor are fairly consistent, but the ultra-wide kind of struggles with intense backlit situations. But yeah, from now on, I think I'll be using this phone to record my videos. I'll be using the 4K 60 log format, and then I'll just add the colors myself in the, in post-processing using Premiere. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is that along with that 100-watt wired charger, there is also a 100-watt wireless charging support and reverse wireless charging support in this phone. I don't have the 100-watt wireless charger with me. You have to purchase it separately. But yeah, 100-watt wireless is pretty great. And they've said that they have kind of modified the charging coil in such a way that there is more air gap between the coil, so it shouldn't heat up as much as it would have otherwise. Honor has taken a lot of care to make sure that this phone can handle high temperatures. Alright, then now let's look at some HDR videos on the display and analyze the speakers. Now for that matter, even my old Note 8 can load HDR videos. It doesn't have an HDR display by any means, but it can load videos on its own, and this thing has a brighter screen. The screen on this can go up to 1000 nits, the one on the Honor, but the one on my Galaxy Note can go up to I think 1200 nits, and you can see that. It does indeed look brighter, and yeah, it even shows in the video. However, because of the older chip on that phone, it struggles to play the 1080p HDR video, but this phone has absolutely no issues. In fact, the HDR screen does a much better job of representing colors accurately. The colors on my Galaxy Note look washed out, and this one looks really true to life. I love how the video looks. And the speakers are actually excellent. There is plenty of bass, there's great separation. In fact, take a listen. Yeah, I could even feel the phone rumbling in the back with the bass vibrations. So yeah, this phone is pretty good. The speaker system is solid. As I mentioned, I could feel the back rumbling with vibrations of the low end. So yeah, this is a solid speaker system. I'll drop my full review in about 5 days or maybe a week, so consider subscribing for that. Now another thing that I don't quite enjoy as much is the UI. Now Honor's UI has come a long way. It's called the Magic OS, I think. But it's still not quite for me, unfortunately. Like I'm gonna stick with O launcher. I'm sorry, Honor. I mean this swipe down for this spotlight search thingy, I don't like it that much. So it's a bit too colorful for my taste. Yes, it has all the themes and everything. It has these cool animations. But I'm a simple guy who likes a minimal design. I don't want something to distract me all the time. So I'm gonna be using O launcher or probably block ratio. That's one of the good things of Android. You can just slap a third-party launcher on top and you can fix most of the things you want to change. I mean, yeah, 100-watt charging, a fantastic speaker system, great cameras, reliable hardware, almost negligible thermal throttling. I mean, this phone is a whole package. I was considering to upgrade my old phone, my Note 9. It is getting pretty old at this point. So, I mean, I guess I'll use this from now on. So yeah, thanks for the upgrade, Honor. This phone does have 5G as well, but obviously I can't test it because here in India, I don't have a reliable way of testing 5G yet. But when it does launch, I'm 5G ready, so that's cool. So yeah, that in a nutshell is my experience after 2 days with the Honor Magic 4 Pro. I'll of course be using this as my main phone. My primary SIM card is in there, so this will be my main phone from now on. So if you have any questions specifically, then let me know. I'll cover them in the final review as well as I'll respond to your comments too.